I'm a music producer, and CharliXCX released her 6th studio album, BRAT. This was my first time ever listening to her, and I'm happy I did so. I mean, when the fuck did she become British? I thought she was from New York or something. But hey, I mean, that gives her points in my book, so that's fine. And right from the start of this album, the instrumentals feel never too complex, but that is a good thing. Throughout the entire project, the production ends up sounding sleek. At its very worst, sounding simplistic, but at its best, sounding complete, inspired, and intriguing. This goes for the vocal production as well. I mean, clearly Charli is a great singer, but the way that her vocals are processed just ends up making them sounding more unique and also just cohesive with every song. In all, I do like the production a lot. I think it's fantastic. It's not trying to do too much, but it always gets what it is doing right. So I applaud all the producers that worked on this album, of whom CharliXCX was one of them. Is that the proper grammar? Of who? This ends up being really positive for the album as a whole, giving it an atmosphere that ends up feeling consistent with the rest of the songs. Furthermore, I love that Charli is leaning into her English accent. It gives her just that much more personality. Not because of it being specifically English, although I do like English accent. It just makes her different. I mean, many singers, including myself, end up slipping into American accents regardless of where we're from, because of the mainstream music being mostly American singers, and also because Americans tend to use shorter vowel sounds. Charli uses her own accent and as a result really has an interesting sound that I don't think could be replicated. And yet another good thing about this album is that it is experimental, and I like that. I mean, it's not JPEG Mafia, you know, but it is definitely not pop. I mean, clearly the producers have had fun on a lot of these tracks, especially club classics and Everything Is Romantic. These songs are gonna go crazy in the club, but they have enough substance that you can listen to them on your own, or in the gym, or at home. I'll admit the lyrics aren't amazing, they're definitely not life-changing, but they're not bad either, and at times they are very smart. Now, I also appreciate that Charli has tried to give the highs and lows in this project. Another thing, the album is 15 songs long, which is actually shorter than most things nowadays. I feel like there are a few songs that were unnecessary to keep in, specifically Mean Girls, and I think about it all the time. The way I think about it is that this album is currently 41 minutes long, and if she had only kept the best 35 minutes, we would really have something fantastic on our hands. Now, I did say the album works as a cohesive project, and it does, but there isn't any concept or common theme. Is that a problem? No, not really. I mean, especially in this genre, dance, it's obviously hard to introduce a kind of concept in that type of album. Thinking about it, I mean, The Weeknd's Dawn FM is kind of the closest you can get to like almost a concept dance album, and I thought that was a fantastic project. Overall, I do find this album to be really fun and enjoyable, but also interesting and very well made. It isn't trying to be a masterpiece, and it isn't, but honestly, to all the people who would call this album great, I tend to agree. And honestly, considering how 2024 has started off, it is better than most stuff this year, at least in my opinion. But yeah, you know what, I do like this album, I will definitely be listening to it, and it feels like she is evolving as a musician for sure. I'm gonna give this one a 7.3 out of 10. Yeah, it's definitely good, maybe even great. Was my opinion on this album completely terrible? If so, please let me know, and also leave a like, subscribe, or leave a dislike. You know, it does help the algorithm, and I love making these videos. Thank you very much. See you next week.